The conversation around artificial intelligence often swings between utopian promise and apocalyptic fear. On one side, figures like Elon Musk and other technology leaders warn about existential risks while simultaneously building systems that could transform the global economy. On the other side, there is a growing narrative that universal basic income, UBI, or similar programs will act as a safety net in a world where automation replaces human labor. But beneath the surface, a deeper and more uncomfortable question emerges. What if these systems of support are not purely about human well-being, but about control? At first glance, universal income sounds liberating. The idea is simple. As machines take over jobs, humans are freed from the necessity of labor and given a guaranteed income to live. In its most optimistic form, this leads to a world where people pursue creativity, relationships, travel, and personal growth. You can imagine a future where you wake up on a self-driving cruise ship, exploring the world while automated systems handle everything from navigation to food production. It feels like a post-scarcity dream, but that vision depends on a crucial assumption, that the income provided is sufficient to sustain genuine freedom and choice. If the income is high, people retain autonomy. They can choose where to spend, what to support, and how to live. They might support local farms, independent creators, or human-centered businesses. In that world, human culture remains diverse and decentralized. However, this is where skepticism enters. A truly high universal income would preserve human agency, but it would also limit the efficiency gains that automation promises for large-scale corporate systems. If people have enough money to choose, they may not always choose the cheapest or most optimized option. They might prefer human-made goods, ethical production, or community-based services. That introduces friction into a system that increasingly values scale, standardization, and automation. From this perspective, a different version of universal income becomes more plausible. Not a high income that empowers, but a low income that stabilizes. Just enough to survive, but not enough to opt out. In this scenario, people are not liberated consumers, they are constrained ones. With limited purchasing power, most people are pushed toward the cheapest available goods and services. And in a highly automated economy, the cheapest options will almost always be AI-driven or robot-produced. This creates a feedback loop. Low income drives demand for low-cost goods. Low-cost goods are produced by automated systems. As those systems expand, they further displace human labor, reducing opportunities for people to earn beyond the baseline income. Over time, the economic ecosystem shifts away from human participation and toward machine-dominated production. In that environment, the concept of choice becomes more symbolic than real. Yes, individuals technically receive income, but their options are shaped by economic constraints. Supporting a human farmer, artisan, or service provider becomes a luxury rather than a norm. Human-centered industries shrink, not necessarily because people don't value them, but because they cannot afford them. This is where the concern about control becomes sharper. If a small number of entities own and operate the majority of automated systems, they effectively control the production of goods, the distribution of services, and the infrastructure of daily life. Universal income in this context can function as a stabilizing mechanism, preventing unrest while maintaining centralized power. It is not control in the dramatic, cinematic sense of domination by force. It is softer, more structural, control through dependency. When access to resources is mediated by systems you do not own or influence, your autonomy is limited, even if your basic needs are met. However, the idea that this leads to a Terminator-style AI uprising misses the more realistic trajectory. Artificial intelligence does not need to become sentient or hostile to reshape society in profound ways. The real transformation happens through incentives, economics, and human decisions. In fact, one of the strongest counterforces to this centralized, automated future is not AI itself, but people. If large populations feel displaced, constrained, or disempowered, they will not passively accept it. Resistance does not need to take the form of organized rebellion. It can emerge as widespread distrust, non-cooperation, or even sabotage. Complex technological systems depend on reliability, maintenance, and trust. If people begin to see AI systems as threats to their livelihoods and independence, they may undermine them, intentionally or indirectly. Workers may resist implementing automation. Users may reject or manipulate systems. Communities may push for regulations that limit or fragment large-scale AI deployment. This introduces a paradox. The more powerful and pervasive AI becomes, the more it depends on human acceptance to function smoothly. Without that acceptance, even the most advanced systems can become fragile. There is also a deeper vulnerability that often goes overlooked: resilience. A highly automated world may be efficient, but it can also be brittle. Human knowledge and skills act as a form of redundancy. When systems fail, whether due to cyber attacks, infrastructure breakdowns, or natural events, human expertise becomes critical. Consider something like a massive solar flare. Such an event could disrupt electrical grids, satellites, and digital infrastructure on a global scale. In a world that has fully outsourced production, logistics, and even basic problem-solving to automated systems, recovery becomes far more difficult if human expertise has eroded. If people no longer know how to grow food, repair machinery, or operate systems manually, the consequences of disruption are amplified. This highlights a key tension: efficiency versus resilience. Automation maximizes efficiency, but often at the cost of redundancy. Human-centered systems may be less efficient, but they provide diversity and adaptability. A balanced society would need both, so the future is unlikely to be a simple story of AI domination or human irrelevance. Instead, it will be shaped by ongoing negotiation between technological capability, economic structures, and human values. Universal income, for example, is not inherently a tool of control or liberation. It depends on how it is designed and implemented. A well-structured system could preserve autonomy by ensuring that people have enough resources to make meaningful choices. It could be paired with policies that support human industries, local economies, and decentralized production. On the other hand, a poorly designed system could create dependency and concentration of power, even if it appears benevolent on the surface. Similarly, AI itself is not a singular force with a fixed outcome. It is a tool shaped by those who build, deploy, and regulate it. The question is not whether AI will take over, but how society chooses to integrate it.